you're a Leicester girl, and it has been one of the most awful 3 months for the town, and add on top of that your love for the club. How are you doing? How's Leicester doing?
I think Leicester will be grieving for a very long time, and I think it's potentially helping them on the pitch. I think because whenever they play, they've got Vichai in the back of their minds, and they're playing with their hearts. I feel at the moment, regardless of the result and everything yesterday, I generally feel that they're coming together as a club, the community. You only have to walk round where the shirts are to know it's not just Leicester that are coming together. It's other clubs, even Nottingham Forest, and it's great to see. When I found out about it, I was on a flight to Arizona, so I didn't find out until I turned my phone on, and I knew Vichai, and he gave me a lovely present when they got promoted to the Premiership, which I thought was a jewellery box. It turned out it was a Cartier watch, to say thank you, because whilst they was doing well that season, I was on the show and I was just constantly talking about Leicester. I had the players coming up. Dermot said to me on the microphone, he said, what are you most looking forward to after you leave here? And I can't actually believe I said it, but I said I'm looking forward to going to the cup game against Man City at Leicester. It wasn't like, oh no, I want to go home to my children. I was like, I'm going to football, and I'm like, why did I say that? But I had a real good relationship with the club, and I saw Top. I literally got off the plane, went home, went straight to the ground with some flowers, and I saw Top walking round, and he came over to me, and we just held each other for about a minute, and it was the longest minute ever, and I just kept on, I was squeezing, he was gripping me, and I just said, I'm so sorry, and I just kept on saying, I'm so sorry, and then, he went back in. He was a mess, he was an absolute mess. I don't know how he's coping, and even some of the players, because of some of the things that they heard, they've seen, but we're a great club, and I'm proud to be a part of. I've only been a Leicester supporter for 20 years. My husband's been a Leicester supporter since he was born, so it's the club I married them as well as marrying my husband, I suppose, and I've got as much love and support than any other club. But it's nice to see other teams come into the first game since it's happened, and they're bringing flags out and saying some really nice words and putting their T-shirts and stuff round by where all the other shirts are. So it is really bringing communities together and clubs together. So I'm very proud of that.
I was born in Nottingham. I did 2 years here at BBC Radio Leicester, and this is a community, and nothing brings people together like a tragedy on this scale. Absolutely. Because they loved him. I mean, I don't think I've ever known, maybe other than Manchester United, this community of people that were so in awe of this manager. They adored him. Yeah,
he'd done a hell of a lot of stuff, like the stuff that he did for charity, and you can tell by the staff that worked there as well that he really did look after his staff, and he cared for his staff and the people that worked around him, and that showed. That really did show. He was a great support for for hospitals and stuff like that he did, and he was a lovely guy. He just really was a lovely guy. And looking at, I generally feel like when he died, everybody felt about him how they felt about Princess Diana. That's how I feel, on the same level. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. I generally feel that's how people felt. It was the same, and I kind of felt the same. I was a mess. I was an absolute mess, and it took me a while to actually sort of come to terms with it, and sort of like, did that actually happen? Like it happened a few years ago with Chelsea and with Matthew Harding. It was a helicopter crash, but. And everybody was really gutted about that. So I was actually going out with a guy that was a Chelsea fan at the time, and he was like mortified, absolutely mortified. But for me, I think it makes it more severe with it being actually at the ground, and this is a helicopter that used to be in the middle of the pitch on every single game, and it was steered away from the crowd. My husband was at that game that it happened, so there's so many things that people can remember from that night. People may have seen the helicopter landing beforehand, and then that'd be the last. I actually know the guy who was the security guard that actually got Vichai on board the helicopter that night. So he was the last person to see Vichai and all the other people that was on board alive. You know, and how does he feel about that? You know, that these are the things that you've got to think about, you know.
And I've not heard one bad word about him. That's a beautiful legacy, that people have only said this man was a hero and a star.
He was an absolute hero. And the people that work for him as well, you know, these are the people that... And I get sent videos of me and him on stage when they got promoted and stuff, and I'm stood right next to him, and I'm like, you know, never take people for granted, because you just never know when it's your time, you know.